A beautiful day like this, you should be here with us in historic Studio D. It's very easy to do to be a part of our studio audience. We promise you it's a good time. Book your seat by visiting WBOC.com. You can click on our picture at the top of the page or give us a call right here, 443-880-9116. The world was in mourning as we heard of his passing in December. We lost a leader in Nelson Mandela, a philanthropist, a teacher, a proponent of peace, a kind and generous human being who lived a remarkable life. And today we are honored to be joined by one of Mr. Mandela's closest confidants, his longtime personal assistant and honorary granddaughter, Zelda LaGrange, who just released her memoir, Good Morning, Mr. Mandela. Ms. LaGrange, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Jimmy.
So, tell us how you first got to know Mr. Mandela.
Well, in 1994, I applied for a very junior position in his office. And about 2 weeks into the job in the president's office, I walked right into him. A crowd of people exited his office, and I found him standing amongst bodyguards, of course. Right. And this tall, kind, very generous looking gentleman stood in front of me.
So why do you think you were selected to work so closely with him?
Well, I think, you know, we sensed or we shared a sense of urgency, first of all. We had more or less the same work ethics. I think I've got a bit of a compulsive, obsessive streak in me. I like to get things done immediately. And, you know, I could easily sense the pace at which he was prepared to work. We both like discipline, and he trusted me to maintain that discipline around him over the years. So I think that, and also we shared a good sense of humor. I think, you know, that just all worked well, and it was required for the job.
Is that what kind of lent itself towards you becoming an honorary granddaughter?
Yes, you know, that's a title he gave me that I still resist to take on. It's obviously a great honor, but I'm also very mindful of the space that space belongs to other people. He's got family, and also in honor of my grandparents. You know, so it's not a title that I easily accept. I deeply loved him. If you work with someone for such a long time, you know, 16 years, we traveled together out of the 19 years. You inevitably become close.
You were talking about his family and his relationship with his now widow. It was really important to him, wasn't it?
Yes, you know what, I saw a different side of the man, and that is what I hope to share in the book. I really saw the human side of Nelson Mandela, and how he could be a romantic husband to his wife. It was a beautiful thing to watch. He was withheld from really living for so many years. And I describe it in the book saying, when Mrs. Machel entered his life, it's as if someone drew the curtains. Light came into his life and into his heart. Right. You know, he was happy whenever she was around. He was in a good mood. You know, it was easier to work with him. So she really brought about a different understanding of life altogether for him.
So before all that, 27 years in prison for standing up against apartheid. Did he ever share with you what that was like for him?
You know what, he would very often when we had meals, he would recite stories from prison and tell me anecdotes from prison. And there was never ever in 16 years and 19 years, I never saw one inclination of bitterness in him. It was always, he enjoyed telling those stories, and it's also as if he could transport your imagination to prison. I could so vividly see what he was explaining to me, but it was never with any bitterness or regret. Really?
I find that absolutely fascinating. Were you, and I find this difficult to ask, so if you can share, thank you. Were you privy to his final days?
No, I actually write about it in the book because a lot of people asked me that question, and that was one of the reasons why I felt obliged to almost write the book. You know, I was kept informed by Mrs. Machel, his wife, about his well-being and so on, but I was not allowed to see him right to the end, no.
What do you think was the most important thing that you learned from your time with him?
Just respect.
Yeah.
It's as easy as that, you know, respect for the self, respect for other people. And while we are grappling with so many world issues right now, the Middle East, the Ukraine, Iraq and so on, I think, you know, we need to go back to what Nelson Mandela taught humanity, and that is just as simple as respect.
Zelda Grange, author of Memoirs. Good morning, Mr. Mandela. Before I let you go, if you could share with us one thing that you think the world doesn't know about Mr. Mandela, what would it be?
Definitely his sense of humor and the way he could tease any person, always finding something funny to tease someone about, you know, from President Barack Obama to the Queen of England, always finding something to tease them about.
Ms. LaGrange, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It's been wonderful talking. If you'd like to read more about what she just discussed, all you have to do is go to WBOC.com and click on our picture at the top of the page. Well, still ahead on Delmarva Life, doing any home improvement projects in the near future? Well, before you draw up the plans, there's one thing you need to figure out. Do you need a permit? Our friends from Angie's List help us clear up that question. And the question that we are trying to figure out is, where on Delmarva is Sean Stryker? Sean, we're ready for our second clue, please.
All right, Jimmy, your second clue is coming at you. This town's name comes from the American Indian word for Blackwater. And in case you don't speak American Indian, I got one more clue coming up to help you out. Delmarva Life, we'll be right back.